the Irish Mags Show, episode 110. My name is Paul. I am your host again this week. I will not be moved. And I am joined by the immovable forces that are Crisho, sporting his Champions League Newcastle United jersey with the badge and everything. And Alan with his Irish Mags. Is that a relatively new top, Alan?
It is our newest jersey that we have out. Yeah, it's a remake of the 96, 97 away jersey. It's like a current remake of this season's one as well, but it's the old school one with the sash.
It's like Irish Mags away.
Yes, that's it.
That's what you want to call it sexy? Call it sexy. Yeah, it's nice.
It is sexy.
I've been called worse. Don't worry about it, lads.
I don't think we've ever called you sexy on this podcast, but hey, look, there's a first time for everything. The sexy Alan Williamson here live on the Irish Mags Show. Well, speaking of things that aren't sexy, we will be having a chat about the last couple of games since we last brought you a podcast. So we obviously had a defeat against Manchester City in the League Cup. And what I would dub to be arguably the most boring match I've watched in recent Newcastle United history, given that it took us about 85 minutes to even have a shot on target, which was the stalemate against Wolves. And more importantly, lads, I think what we're going to talk about is how this does or doesn't set us up for a crazy run of games, a really difficult fixture run across all competitions. And while we're talking about it, we might have a little chat about prioritization, where we think decisions and sacrifices will be made, where should we be putting our eggs into what baskets, thinking about Champions League, thinking about Premier League, thinking about cup competitions and the like. And potentially that might link us into, do we think there'll be movement in January? But as of the 19th of January and the day of recording, no movement quite yet. Right, we might as well no longer prolong any more pain. Alan, just with the Man City game, it wasn't really a 2-0 game, I think, in terms of, I don't think we deserved to lose 2-0. However, we didn't really do much to look like we were going to score. And you could argue that they should have won 3-0 because of the weirdest offside decision I've ever seen by a VAR.
On that offside decision, that goal should count. That's bullshit. But on Semenyo playing, he shouldn't be playing. So that's also bullshit. They got one, we got one. It cancelled itself out. Doesn't matter. Yeah, we were absolutely horrid against Man City. I think it was a bridge too far with the same team. Very lackluster, very sluggish. The only thing is, if Wissa puts us 1-0 up after 5 minutes, that's a very, very, very different game.
How's he not scored that?
And look, it's a chance. It's come to him early. He's cold. It's this, it's that. It didn't happen. Didn't work. It's neither here nor there. Now means we have to go to Manchester, to the city of Manchester or the Etihad, and score 3 goals. In the nice.
Oh, you mean the Etihad where we haven't yet scored a goal under Eddie Howe?
Yeah, there. I can't see us doing too much. It was just nothing went right for us. Just didn't. We could still be there now. We wouldn't have scored. And
like a 6'7" striker, not getting on the end of a cross that he missed by a fraction, like one of his curly hairs. That's how much he missed it by. And I thought at that stage, we're not getting anything here. Like I was saying, we're never going to score here. That could have went on for 270 minutes. We still wouldn't have scored. And that's
the Wolves game. Fucking septic.
Yeah, I kept going.
It's very worrying.
Well,
it's very worrying.
Let's tie them together then, lads, because there have been chances. You know, we saw Barnes miss a very easy chance there recently. In the Wolves game, Joe Linton, I don't know how he's not just stuck ahead on that cross that came in.
Yeah.
There are chances happening. You mentioned Baltimore. Wissa's had plenty of chances. Are we unlucky? Because I feel like we're not creating enough quality chances. Because you are always going to miss chances. You know, you need 3 or 4 chances like that you can miss to score one. I just feel like numbers wise, we're not creating enough to balance or negate the missed chances with actually converting them. Because we're missing all our chances, but the chances are few and far between. Al, is that fair?
Yeah, you're dead right. But I just want to cast your mind back to when Voltemata was scoring. I think in his first 7 shots, he scored 5 of them. It's like just mental. Like you will go through periods that, and strikers are confidence players. I know, speaking from experience, You miss one chance, it dwells on you. You go a game or two without scoring, it dwells on you. The two strikers, Voltemata hasn't scored in 8 games now, and Wissa hasn't scored in 2. We need something to go in somewhere, and one of them just to get their mojo back a little bit. It's like it's like Ramsey, get one and they'll flow. We just need one of them to ricochet off their knee, bounce into the back of the net, and we'll get back to the flow of it. But yeah, it did look like we needed a plan B in both games, and we didn't seem to have one. But I was saying this earlier in the Mike's chat, sorry, that basically we have about 15 fit first team players that we can rely on. You can't really have a plan B when you're only relying on the same players being trudged out week after week after week. When you've got this many injuries, this much going on, it just doesn't work.
See, I'd slightly challenge that, given that a big chunk of those missing players are defenders, right? So we still have, you know, I know Murphy had that little injury recently, but like going back for the last 6 weeks, we've generally had 4 wingers available, and we've generally had 5 or 6 midfielders available. Granted, Wissa just coming back, but he's been back. So like from an attacking sense, the depth has been there. Now, the counter argument is, well, we're actually way better attacking when we have Tino and Lewis Hall, and we've not really had the two of them on the field at the same time. By the way, Lewis Hall, unbelievable again against Wolves. Even the Premier League Twitter account is just asking, is he the best left back in the league? But that's for later. Just, I'm more concerned about the types of chances we're creating, as well as the frequency and quantity. It feels like we're kind of falling back to just 2 approaches. One, throughout the game, it's just get it out wide and swing across, right? And that has its effects, and it worked last season between Jacob Murphy and Alexander Isak quite a lot. But if Voltemata is up front, sometimes he's a little bit behind the ball just because of the nature of his game, and we said Wiss is a little bit rusty. So we're swinging a lot of crosses, but big awkward defenders, like Wolves defenders, they're only delighted to just head those balls clear. No more than Dan Burn, Malik Chow and Sven Botman are the same. You know, if like those kind of whipped crosses work when you're breaking at speed, but when you're building up play and there's a low block and that defense is in place, it's like taking a corner. Majority of corners get headed clear. And then the second fallback is just, right, if that's not working, Bruno's coming deep to get on the ball, and Bruno's just trying to create all of our chances for us. And that's fine, but we end up then having him almost too deep because he's having to come. He wants to get on the ball, and we used to see this with Isak. Isak would come very deep to get the ball because he was frustrated about not getting it. Bruno's having to take the game by the scruff and suddenly do everything. And again, that doesn't work with just one player creating your chances for you. Ideally, you'd like to see him further up the field because he can score and he can get in positions. But when he has to come deep and then create for others, yeah, we're just looking a bit toothless, I suppose I would say, Krisho.
Look, first of all, I'm reporting live from St. James's Park, as you can clearly see, right?
We can see that clearly, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone out for a steak dinner with Craig Hope. I didn't want it, but it was that or the guy from Chronicle Live. What's his name? That guy from the Chronicle?
Lee Ryder.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping it would be him, but it's not him. But look, I'm going to throw some Einstein into the podcast, right? Everyone knows this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? Very famous quote from Albert Einstein. That's quintessentially what seems to be happening here with Eddie Howe. Like Al said, there is no plan B, right? He has his set way of playing. If I see them go out to the right wing again and pass it back between Tonali, the right back and right wing, back and back and back and back, and then just throw a cross in, where Voltemata is nowhere near that. He's 6 yards where he should be to get ahead on something. Even if he does get ahead on it, which he did get into a couple of good positions against Wolves, again, like Al said, there's no confidence there. There's a lack of confidence with the strikers. We have got ourselves into an awful predicament here, I'm afraid. We've overachieved, which we've already discussed many, many podcasts ago. The fans are right now thinking, all right, we're at the cusp here. We're you know, and we haven't got the commercial revenue to buy in what we need to buy in and change the squad and freshen it up whenever we wish. Look at Man City. They've spent 500 million since last January, and they just basically bought 11 players to replace their first team squad. We cannot do that, and it will take years for us to be able to do that. So there's a thing here where, like, people were giving out ding dong, Eddie Howe this, Eddie Howe that. Abysmal. I said it. It was abysmal. It was a terrible watch against Wolves, right? And it was very disappointing against Man City, not taking our chances. But in the Premier League, it's 10 points from 12. I mean, to be perfectly frank, that's an amazing result. But again, 3 of those games were at home. Wasn't it? Yeah, 3 of those games were at home. They were, weren't they? So, but 10 from 12. And I know we're going to go into it. You know, we'll talk about the run we have after this. But it's. I said it on the chat today, on the Irish Mags chat today. Dave was talking about just certain tactics and stuff, and it was something that I heard over the weekend. Do we think, maybe I'm just throwing this out here, that our wingers are playing too wide? That they're just staying out wide. It's all very predictable. It's all very.
I actually seen you say this and was about to argue with you because I said the total opposite. There was times where Barnes and Gordon were side by side. Gordon was beside Voltamata for an awful lot of the game, and we had absolutely no outlet on the left-hand side whenever we had someone. It was all or nothing. And I'm not being funny. It was
I actually agree. It was the same. There was points where Barnes was kind of in and around the box,
it was
and loads of space on the right, and Trippier wasn't getting up. So
maybe against Man City, then it was, or a couple of games. It's far too wide.
But I don't understand it. Come here. We don't play the Voltamata strengths. When we signed Voltamata, I thought we were, and I'm gonna say, the Liverpool, the year they won the league, the Mane, Salah, and Firmino front three, where Firmino wasn't the striker, but he was the focal point of that attack, and he just let Mane and Salah do the business. When we signed Elanga and we signed Voltamata, I was like, oh, we could have a bit of something similar along those lines where Voltamata gets the ball into his feet, gets turned, and then just looks for these two boys out running down the wing. I haven't seen it once. Not once have I seen Voltamata get turned and the two wingers making a beeline for the box. Something needs to give, and I don't know what it's going to be. There has to be a change eventually.
Voltamata is getting the ball into him, right? And saw against Wolves, and I saw it a little bit with City as well. He gets surrounded very quickly. He's all arms and elbows, and then he kind of loses the ball. He specifically lost the ball quite a bit against Wolves because they just raided him. As soon as he got the ball, he didn't have any time to turn or do anything really with it. Then once or twice he did, and it was kind of impressive. But even when he does do that, the wingers are bombing down the wing. This chap is not in there. And I'm kind of thinking, we've made a lot of crosses over the last couple of games, like a lot of crosses. And there's nobody there. Like some brilliant ones. Harvey Barnes did a brilliant one against Wolves. And there was a couple of really good crosses against Man City as well. But there was nobody there to finish it off. A prime Alan Williamson back then would have been standing there waiting to just basically knee that in from 4 yards out. And it would have been. We don't have a striker, guys.
Yeah, 100%. But that's like me turning around to you and saying, right, stick Thiago up front and then going, he's not getting the ball down. He's not doing the silky skills that Voltamata. That's not Voltamata's game. If you want to get the best of the Voltamata, you have to play the Voltamata strengths. We are not doing that. If you want to get the best of the Wissa, you have to play the Wissa strengths. We're not. I hate to say it. We're still playing as if we've got Alexander Isak up front.
Yeah, that's it.
We have not changed our style of play.
A little bit, yeah. And we're becoming a bit one-dimensional with the
it's getting a bit frustrating. It's like you said, do the same thing over and over again, expect different results. It's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Something has to give. Now, I'm not saying Eddie out by any stretch of the imagination. I am as far away from that point as you can possibly be. But I do want to see a change of some description soon. I don't know what it's going to be, whether it be we bring someone in January. I've been saying for a while, the midfield three, we bang on it's the best midfield three in the Premier League. I haven't seen it be the best midfield three in the Premier League all season. One of them needs to come out for, maybe not for an extended period of time, but one of them needs to come out. And we need to give Ramsey a run where he can be a little bit of a creative outpoint. That's his game. Let's be honest about it. He was brought in to be not a number 10, but the creative midfielder. We're playing Wolves. We don't need Sandro, Bruno, and Joe Linton all sitting there demolishing tackles. We can have one of these lads being more of a luxury player. It was a low.
Well, you know, especially when if we focus on Voltamati, especially, his game is to kind of to come deep and receive the ball, right? He does his best then to get back up, but he's still obviously figuring it out. If you think about, and this is a big jump, But if you think about Harry Kane at Bayern, Harry Kane does this a lot. He comes deep to get the ball and he connects the dots and connects the play. And, you know, Chriso, your point there is that the problem then is there's no one in the box when we break forward. Other players are steaming forward to fill those spaces. Bayern play, and it's Alan, it's the young fella that you like. He kind of plays as a 10, Carl Leonard.
Carl Leonard, yeah. Leinhardt, whatever the name is, yeah.
Granted, he's very young, and they would probably normally have Musiala in that role, right? Who's just, you know, literally elite level. Players like that are bombing forward. If Harry Kane is deep, Musiala's occupying that space and very mobile doing it. Plus, you then have Elise, or you now have Luis Diaz, you know, making more intelligent or more ruthless runs, which Gordon can do. Barnes has shown he can do it. I think the problem is that we have too many gaps. So without that, let's call it number 10, right? Without that then there's no number 10 to push on past Voltamati if he comes deep, or if the number 10 is there, Voltamati doesn't come as deep as often. He'll still do it at times, but as it stands, then we have this gap between the striker and the midfielder. So Voltamati comes in to fill that, but there's no real possibility for any of those midfielders to then get forward and occupy space that Voltamati has vacated by taking a defender or two with him. Because you're right, two centre-backs have no problem coming up with Voltamati, closing them down, because there's no one else really to worry about. The full-backs are picking up the other lads, and our midfielders are all, you know, back towards the halfway line in Tonali and Bruno. So where do you start to change it? And it's not as simple as just, go 4-2-3-1. It's about player roles. And Ramsey can do this to an extent. Ramsey has done this for Villa and more advanced roles. I think Bruno can do this. I don't see why we can't trust Sandro to just sit deep and be far more disciplined. Sacrifice some of what Sandro can do by saying, look, you're there to cover. You're actually going to be used to allow other players to be more creative and a bit more freedom. Bruno can do that role, right? If Bruno's told to stay up. The problem is we've been so shit that Bruno then has to take it on himself to go and run the game, drop deep, and all the gaps appear once again. And then the other thing I'll say then is, you know, I was thinking about, I'm baffled by the Elanga thing. He's not the world's most talented football, but something was right at Forest. And the obvious thing to say is, they were breaking on the counter a lot, and he was breaking at speed. And we saw a few times it happened against Newcastle, which is why it's stuck in our heads. But the other reasons were because, you know, you had someone like Chris Wood, who largely was more stationary, always around the box, knew kind of he'd be there, knew where he was. But I think it's probably underestimated how much he was connecting and interlinking with somebody like Morgan Gibbs-White, Chriso, who you love. Because Gibbs-White plays that 10 role. Gibbs-White isn't coming deep to pick up the ball a whole lot. He wants to receive the ball and connect and bring other players into the game. And we've just not seen enough of that. So where my mind is going is and particularly if it's Bruno, if you're putting Bruno in that number 10, knowing that you've got your two midfielders behind him, especially Sandro, covering, trusting those players to bring Bruno into the game instead of Bruno having to bring himself and everyone else into the game. Bruno in turn could actually connect better with Voltamati, start to free him up, or Wissa, and potentially Elanga as well, because we know Bruno has that vision to send that ball into space. We need someone down there, and probably it's time to say, right, look, we need to put our eggs in the Elanga basket. We need to get this guy clicking. We can't just be reliant on Jacob Murphy to cross the ball all the time, because it just, when it works, it's great, but it doesn't work all the time. And with this run of games, it's almost like, you know, time to nod up or shut up with Elanga. And if it doesn't work, and if we try, coach the hell out of it, try and bring him more into the game, play to his strengths as well as Voltamati or Issa. If it's not worked by the end of the season, then at least we know, right? That didn't work. That was a nice experiment. 55 million down the drain. Let's try and get half that back, and we go again in the transfer market. So, but all of my points echo the same thing. Try something different. And if we're just seeing the same thing from Eddie Howe, he's only bringing that pressure on himself. He won't take any risks, play the same formation, make a triple change on 65 minutes, like for like, and nothing happens. And
just one other thing.
Ultimately, the outcome again is disappointing.
We play a flat midfield three. I think we're the only team in the Premier League that play a flat midfield. That we have just three in a row across the midfield. If you've three in the middle, it's usually one defensive midfielder and two creatives, or generally it's two defensive midfielders and a creator. That's the way I'd go. Listen, love Joe Linton. He doesn't have the discipline to play as an out-and-out six. Bruno and Sandro do. He doesn't have the creativity to be an out-and-out 10. Ramsey does. Could we say to Bruno and Sandro, just be like, look, for 2 games, 3 games, we're going to try this. The two of you are literally there to mop up and give it to the creative outlets in the team. It's something different. It's something slightly different. It's not ripping up the whole formula, if you know what I mean. It's not mad, but it's a little bit different. It's something that we'll have to try eventually. We can't just keep banging the same drum.
20 minutes to go against the bottom team in the Premier League. Why in God's name could we not have tried Big Nick and Wissa together? I mean,
because we don't have another striker. If one of them then gets injured in that match, you're then reliant on one striker for God only knows how long.
Sean Neves.
Yeah, like I know you're saying that, but
yeah,
imagine it comes to a game where, right, lads, we need to win to get Champions League football. Valtemata got injured when we tried to win a game a couple of weeks ago that we didn't win. Vissa is still out with a knock. We have to start Sean Neave in an incredibly important game. Are you telling me that the Newcastle United fans wouldn't absolutely lose their reason? Why did he do that?
The thing is, though, you know, I totally get what you mean, by the way. But, like, we're in the exact same situation with Botman and Chow. We just have no choice, do you know? Because if one of them gets injured, who's playing centre-back? Alex Murphy? You know, I'd love that, but obviously it's not the right thing to do. So I get it. I don't understand why we don't do 10 or 15 minutes with them both on the field when we're losing, when we're drawing the game, but in control, largely. I think there's an opportunity to, because I think did he make a double substitution when he took off Valtemata and brought on Wissa, or was it triple even? I can't remember. But
triple.
There's
an opportunity there to just do one change and, like, you know, bring on Wissa for Tonali and just change it up a little bit. Right, let's see if we can do something here for the next 10 minutes with these two lads up front, and then you can take off Valtemata and get him his 15 minutes rest, because there's risk aversion and then there's risk avoidance. And, like, you know, being too afraid to play them both for fear of injury, you know, it's just not sustainable, because ultimately we need to be getting 3 points against a team who, granted, have been in a little bit of a good run, but about a month ago everyone was saying they're about to be the worst team in Premier League history. Like, that's how bad they've been. Maybe we got them at a slightly bad time, but, you know, we have to kind of realize that we are Billy Big Balls in these fixtures and we should be taking those chances. And yeah, it just, again, on the outside, it just looks like Eddie Howe is too afraid to take those chances, and it's just so stubborn or blindly committed to the system in terms of his belief that it eventually will work. It just hasn't been working. And yeah, like I said, if nothing changes, then nothing changes.
There's two key things here. Al said we're still playing like we have Isaac. And the second key thing here is that Eddie Howe said this, is that they cannot play at the intensity that we played before, because we've too many games each week. We've got Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup. The fixture list has really caught up with us, and we just can't play with the same intensity. Now, don't get me wrong, it hasn't helped that Wiss has been injured for 75 days. Elanga looks like he cost 500,000 instead of 55 million. Valtemata is a young lad coming in trying to get up to speed with a very tough league. All of these things, yeah. And again, it's us with our hearts for supporting this club that we know it'll come good. But again, it's the expectation level. It's like we do in our jobs, like we do with our clients and our customers, Al. Same with you, Paul. Managing people's expectation management. And unfortunately, there doesn't really seem to be that much of it. There is level-headed Newcastle fans that just go, look, and hang on, stick with the system. He knows what he's doing. It'll come good. And then there's other people like that are kind of on the other extreme saying there's no plan B, which there isn't. There doesn't seem to be anyway. And, you know, it really could cost him. I think he has a lot of credits built up with the ownership, but it really could cost him if he doesn't start to make some form of change. I really do think he could have tried something experimental against Wolves. Not crazy experimental, just a little bit different. A little bit of a different formation to go up against.
I would agree with you, and I'm not Eddie Howe out, and I'm not blindly following Eddie Howe. I said it earlier today as well, but something does have to change. There has to be a steady middle ground. I'm not in the camp that if you're saying everything's grand, you're happy clapper, and that I'm not Eddie Howe out or anything like that. But there has to be a middle ground, and you said it. He has credit in the bank. He's spending that credit as we speak.
Yeah, he is.
There's only so much of that he can spend before the Saudis, not even the Saudis, before the Newcastle fans go, hang on a minute. You've been banging this drum for a while. Give us results. You won us a cup. We are forever grateful. Eddie Howe is, by no mean measure, the greatest manager I've ever seen Newcastle have. And I don't mean that lightly. He is unbelievable. But everyone has a level they can get something to. I'm not saying Eddie Howe has reached his level, but he needs to show me that he hasn't plateaued at the club. So I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know what it entails, but something has to change.
This was the level that Paul at Bournemouth. He got them to a certain way of playing, certain type of player that he liked. He started getting results. Bournemouth was a really tough place to go to, and he plateaued at Bournemouth. And maybe he needed also a break as well, right? Now, a couple of the people in the Irish Mags group were saying today that Eddie was basically left in nearly an untenable position last summer, essentially told to run the club. And he was just recently over pneumonia, tough season. And then he was just thrown into, running the club for the whole summer. So, and then he's maybe top 3 players just decided to disrespect him publicly and head on. So again, I'll never be a Howe guy at all, but you've got to feel for the guy, and these signings have not worked out as well as I think he hoped that they would by now anyway. Wissa having the number 9 sticks with me. He's not a striker. I don't believe he should have the number 9 Newcastle jersey. I don't think he really played. He played. Yeah, he's not a striker. I won't ramble. He's not a striker. Baltamade isn't really a striker either. He's more like a number 10 kind of. So this is where there's a massive concern that, yes, he's had a tough summer. He's brought it in. He's bought signings. They haven't worked as well as they hoped. But then there's the question here that we're kind of opening up here is that they haven't worked because we haven't tried anything else.
Well, yeah,
we haven't tried anything different.
The question is, what are you doing about it, right? So I agree with the sympathy for Eddie Howe in terms of being hung out to dry in the summer before last, especially, right? But then PSR also had its part to play. So yes, he was hung out to dry, whether it's PSR or the ownership, doesn't matter. It happened. But now he's had the opportunity to bring in players. Okay, the Isaac situation was a fucking mess, but have brought in new players. Largely, you'd expect signings he wanted. I think Vissa was an Eddie Howe signing. Elanga definitely is an Eddie Howe signing. Ramsey could be a little PSR shenanigans involved, the way the PSR circle of life happens, but I still think Eddie Howe would have liked him. I think there's an element of, okay, well, what are you doing when things aren't working? What are you doing differently about it? Or, he's supposed to, what I always associated Eddie Howe as being an excellent coach who was able to take Miguel Almiron and Sean Longstaff and Fabian Scher and Jacob Murphy and get football out of them that no other manager had gotten out of them prior, with Steve Bruce or Rafa or whoever it was. And we haven't seen that yet. But to me, then the solution isn't, it's just not working. Like, we started against Wolves with Wissa and Ramsey and Elanga on the bench. So that's, quick maths, lads. Do you know what I mean? That's 130, 40 million, whatever the hell it is. And they're supposed to be Eddie Howe signings. So where people will lose that sympathy is, well, these are your signings and you're a coach and it's your job to get the most out of them. And we're not seeing, granted, we don't see what happens on the training pitch, but when it comes to these games and these formations, we're not seeing attempts to get more out of those specific players. They're being brought on for like and just saying, have a go there, hopefully it'll work. So again, I think that's where it's a case of, right, well, what are we visibly seeing that's being done to address the fact that we're not getting more out of Wissa or Voltamade or Elanga or even Ramsey? Ramsey struggles to get game time sometimes, and it's, they're the things I'd question, and that's where I think the sympathy will be lost for Eddie Howe. The other thing is, he's been there nearly 5 years. He's the 4th longest serving manager in the league after 5 years. That just shows you how long managers stick around. At Bournemouth, he was there a long, long time. Eventually, change is needed no matter what way you look at it. And that was one of you remember my bold prediction in our little New Year's show, that if England come knocking after the World Cup, after Thomas Tuchel leaves, that Eddie Howe might see that as the right time to go, right, I've done 5 years, I'm exhausted, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, I'm coming home at 8 o'clock every night. I've put my heart and soul into this, and I've won them a trophy and gotten them into 2 Champions Leagues, and see whatever happens this season. there's an opportunity there for him to go, well, yeah, it's time. But I'm not advocating for it. I just think, and I've deja vu because I feel like we sat here just over a year ago and I said the same thing. Am I how out? No. Am I how change? Yes. Do something different, please, Eddie. And we're back there again. But like this, he's proved us wrong so many times before. And we're gonna take a break quickly before we go on and talk about the next run of games. As hard as this next run of games is, this is probably the most opportune time to go on an actual run, because Eddie Howe has proven so many people wrong. And with all these fixtures coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few shock results and a bit of Eddie Howe-esque turnaround in fortunes, which we'll speak about. But we will take a quick break, lads, and we shall come back to talk about these run of fixtures. And more importantly, I think we'll chat about where should we really be prioritising? Where do we need to see full strength 11s, in this crazy run that's going to bring us up to March? And which competitions do we really, really, really need to be putting our number one priority on? So we'll be right back after this break. The Irish Mag Show is proudly sponsored by The Half Volley and FSH Training Limited. The Half Volley provide high-quality, customisable clothing and merchandise catering for all sports teams, businesses, social clubs and events, including, of course, the Irish Mags, with a new range available over on their website, thehalfvolley.com. FSH Training Limited offer a wide variety of training across the fields of fire safety, first aid and manual handling. All of their trainers are frontline emergency service workers with extensive instructing experience, ensuring realistic professional training. All of their course options and details are available on their website, fshtraining.ie. Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. We can stop talking about the past, lads, and we'll start talking about the future, because we are eternal optimists. And it's just too depressing. Alan, we have a crazy run of games coming up, right? So we have PSV at home. We're recording this on the Monday prior to the PSV game, which is at home. After that, then Villa at home, PSG away, Liverpool away, Man City away in the second leg of the Cup, Brentford at home, Tottenham away, Aston Villa away, Man City away. That brings us up to the 21st of February. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in just under a month. That is crazy. And we've just had a little debate and a discussion about squad depth and options. Hopefully there'll be players coming back during this time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about here when it comes to, we're going to be playing Premier League football, Champions League football, League Cup football, and towards the end on Valentine's Day. FA Cup on Valentine's Day against Villa. So the big question here is, and we can't kind of talk, 8 weeks is a long time, who knows what the squad will look like, but looking at, we've now got a Champions League, a Premier League, and a Champions League, and a Premier League in these next 4 games, which brings us up to Liverpool and a big meet-up in Galway, listeners. So check out the irishmags.com for some information on that, because it's going to be huge. In terms of priorities, Alan, we've got PSV on Wednesday, and then we've got Villa at home on Sunday in the league.
Yes.
This is a good way to think about, right, we've got 2 games left in the Champions League and 2 massive Premier League games. Where does the priority go if you're prioritising? Because he can't play his strongest 11 for those 4 games, surely.
He can't. It just cannot physically happen. If you ask me to prioritise the 4 competitions right now, it's Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup. And the League Cup is only because we're 2-0 down going to Man City. If this is any other result, it's higher. But right now, we have to do well in the Premier League to get back into Europe. We want the Champions League. Lads, if we had a beaten Wolves, we were 5th. We had such a bad start to the season and we would have been 5th. The ball is no longer in our court to an extent, but we have to play all the teams around us. 2 or 3 good results against teams that are knocking about us, and we're right up in there for the talk for getting the Champions League. We have to prioritise the Premier League. That is the be-all and end-all. I said we'd win the FA Cup this year. I'll happily sit here with egg on my face if we go out to Villa, but get Champions League in the long term. It's a long-term business game. Let's be honest about it. You have to be doing well in the league. Champions League has to be second on the list, because if we win on Wednesday against PSV, it's another 2 million into our bank account. We've already gotten £21 million into our bank balance from playing in the Champions League this year. It goes up to 23. If we get through, I think we automatically get another 8.5 million. and then it's after every round after that's about another 7 or 8 million on top of that. It's mental money how much you get for being in the Champions League. And I know Eddie won't, well, he will have been told this, but he will have been told, he's like, look, if you want to go out and sign a £100 million striker in a season's time, you have to get to the Champions League quarterfinal. And this isn't because we're telling you, oh, it's a requirement. It's financially, for us to be able to do it, we have to get there, and that's it. So it has to be those two are the big boys. I do think we'll go not full strength, yes, against PSV on Wednesday, but I also think we'll go full strength again on Sunday against Villa. We're beating a dead horse, if you know what I mean. We'll be using the same 15 or 16 players for the next 8 or 9 weeks, unless we bring someone in, which I don't know if we will or not.
I think it's an interesting point because the two of them are set up very nicely. And Al's point about Premier League being the priority is key. I can't, like, there's going to be certain, like, no manager is ever going to do this, of course, right? They're never going to look at a fixture list and think, oh, well, look, we're probably going to lose this, so maybe I won't, but there's a couple of games there in that run that you think, holy Jesus. Look at PSV at home and Villa at home, 2 full-strength teams, slight changes, right wing, midfield, and striker, 3 positions, I would imagine. But the core of the team, pretty much the same. He needs the win against PSV under the lights, and he needs the win against Villa at home. I don't mind about the FA Cup, don't mind about the League Cup. Yes, it'd be lovely to see what we can do in them, but the key points here, specifically with the fact that we're playing away against Liverpool. We got Brentford at home, which I would expect us to win. Tottenham are terrible at home, so I'm really hoping we get something out of that on the 10th of Feb. And then we've City away, which is an ugly old game. And then just at the end of the month in February, we've Everton at home. So there is winnable games there to keep us smiling as fans in the Premier League, to keep us within. Because if you look at the league, and I know we've discussed it last week and the week before, the league is nuts presently at the moment. Apart from Arsenal, Man City and Villa, there's like 3 points in between, 3rd and bloody 11th or 12th or something. And it's been like that for a while. So the door is still wide open for us to sneak back up there and stay there consistently as we run into the end of the season. So it's if you take it as just a snapshot of what we've got coming up, it's an ugly view. It's like, good Lord, we could get destroyed here. And really, Eddie Howe, we might be chatting about something else to do with Eddie Howe in 9 games' time. But if there was ever a time for a change in approach and a change in how we're doing things, this is it. And surely, like, their coaching schedules run themselves up to a point where there's a key point in the season. If there was ever a key point in any season, apart from last year when we won a cup, this is it. This run of games is it. Like, absolutely. In fact, the next 2 games are some of the most important games that we'll ever play this season. Is Villa at home and PSV at home.
I agree. I actually think the PSV game is probably bigger than some people might think, because I think a lot of people just assume we're going to go into that knockout qualifier round, whatever, in that top 24, even though, like, it's not guaranteed mathematically yet. The thing for me about this PSV game is, I think this is huge to win and put in a good performance. That we won at Leeds, scraped to win. That game wasn't enjoyable until the final whistle for the players. So, like, it's not like they're out there enjoying themselves, playing together, playing well, executing a tactical plan, and at the end of it, patting themselves on the back and go, lads, we're class. Same with Bournemouth. We scraped through on penalties. So, these games where you can say, oh, we really deserve that. We've actually really played well. That felt good. That clicked. These aren't, those games aren't that. They're struggles. I think this PSV game, even though PSV are a good team, is an opportunity to just go back and I feel like I'm a broken record. I've said this already on this podcast, to go back. Here's our plan, lads. This is what we want to do. These are the chances we want to create, the phases of play we want to build, the intensity we want to show, and ultimately reward that by creating some good chances, lads assisting their teammates and forward scoring goals. And if we do that against PSV, not only does it just bring back that enjoyment factor, that positive factor, that winning in St. James's Park under the lights, Champions League music, it then sets you up to go into Villa in a good mood, in a
Awesome.
good sense of cohesion.
Mm-hmm.
But also then it allows you to go, right, PSG doesn't really matter. It just doesn't. Right?
Look,
the only reason it might matter is if results go such a way in the Champions League that we could finish in the top 8.
Yeah.
That might change things. But that's a nice luxury to have. But if we beat PSV and then that sets us up to go and hopefully beat Villa, who just lost to Everton at home, you could argue PSG, doesn't matter. Let's focus on Liverpool. And then you got the semi-final, which again you could argue, okay, look, no one's going to throw their toys if we lose to PSG and Man City, as long as we win against PSV, Villa, and do something like put up a performance against Liverpool, even if we don't win in Anfield. Right? There's no shame. But if we don't really play well against PSV and or have a boring, shitty draw or lose, that's a much different vibe going into Villa and beyond. And then suddenly the PSG game is more important than it needed to be away in Paris, and then it just doesn't set the fans up in terms of the stadium buzz, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot riding on this PSV game, and I really hope that we go full hog, full strength 11, but
we're gonna have
to come out all guns blazing,
Paul, we're going to have to, because PSV haven't played too badly in the Champions League. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses.
They're a good side. They hammered Liverpool.
Good side. And in the last 3 games, they've scored 11 and conceded 2. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the teams in the Dutch league aren't great, but they're 17 points ahead of Feyenoord or something, or
they're
massively ahead.
Yeah, and they have some good young players.
So they're in form, and we're not. So under the lights,
so we need to blow them away. We
maybe
need
it's
to
the
be
spirits
big,
of St.
we need to
James's
be
Park
that Billy
again.
Balls.
Yeah, the spirit of St. James's Park again. The 12th man thing again. Al Williamson will have to be screaming from the.
Oh, he will be. Don't
where
worry.
he's sitting, right? So to get it going. But look, I've got a grave concern, right? And I have to say it. Based off, PSV aren't a bad team. They're in form. They've got some good strikers, and we're not currently in good form. Even though for some reason we keep pulling results out of the hat at St. James's Park, this is like we were saying just there a minute ago. This is the key game. This and Villa, this one specifically, for the whole anchor of the whole, which way it's going to swing. Are we going to stud in mid-table or go up the Premier League? Or someone's like, I'd love for a Wissa and Voltamata to get 2 each and we win 4-1. You know what I mean? And get a bit of confidence into the lads to drive them into Villa. So that's really kind of, it's fingers and toes cross time.
Is that your prediction, though? Because I'm about to ask you for your PSV prediction, Chris.
Yeah.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah. 4-1.
4-1. I would bite your hand off for that.
Yeah, snap the hand off it. Yes.
Alan, you don't look as confident as Chris in terms of your prediction.
I'm not going to say we're going to smoke them 4-1, because nobody goes to Anfield and wins 4-1 like PSV did if they're a bad side. I think it'll be a little bit cagey than we're anticipating, but it's going to be an Anthony Gordon masterclass, and we're going to win 2-0.
2-0. I think I've put 2-1 down on my Super 6, because I do a little Super 6 in a league with a few lads. So I think it's going to be, I think cagey is a good word, Al. Like, again, if we don't, it's one of these things where to beat a team like this, we need to use the stadium atmosphere and our intensity to give them something they've not experienced yet this season, because they've been used to winning in the Dutch league. They've been doing art in the Champions League. We need to give them something they haven't felt or haven't experienced before. The question is whether we do that or not, because we just haven't been doing it against some teams. So if we do that, I think it becomes a lot more comfortable. I don't have the confidence that we'll do it at the same level as we've done in the past. So I'll go with a 2-1. But I do agree. I think this is an anti-Gordon opportunity here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just here live from St. James's Park. So I'm going to change it to 4-3. Sorry, not 4-1, 4-3. I'm going to call my second 4-3 of the season. It's going to be
from my hope. I really hope not. I can't go through that live. Like, it was bad enough watching on telly.
It's going to be a thriller, an absolute thriller, guys. 4-3. There you go. Bet responsibly.
I preferred the 4-1, to be honest. So if you could just stick with that, Chris, that'd be fine. If you're planning to be correct on this one, 4-1, please, it'd be fine.
4-1.
Time will tell. As we said, we're recording about 48 hours out, so only time will tell to see how we're doing before we head into Aston Villa in the weekend that follows in the Premier League. But yeah, God, we need to win, and we need to win badly, lads.
Yeah, we do.
Alan, you're going to the PSV game. Who is in charge of the bleaker?
God only knows, because I don't care. No money messing. Ev will be looking after the beaker for me on Wednesday. Yeah. So if you're in and around Dublin Wednesday, Bleecker Street as usual, the match will be on. More than likely be downstairs, but if it's a big cohort of lads, it'll be upstairs in the black and white room, yourself. And then on, it is Sunday, isn't it? We play Villa.
Yeah. Sunday at 2:00.
Sunday 2:00. Yeah, Sunday 2:00. There's actually 2 meetups, so there'll be one in Dublin. Obviously, we're always in the Bleecker Street bar, but we also have a meetup in Cork as well for Villa.
Nice.
So if you're in and around Quinlan's Bar, Blackpool, Cork, pop in, say hello, and join the Magnus, as we always like to say. So come in and join the fun.
Love it.
Deadly.
The meetups are flying, lads. We've had obviously Dublin there, Cork. We've had Sligo. We've had Tipperary.
Tipperary, yeah.
Yeah, and we have Galway.
Rumours of a Kilkenny one starting, if rumours are to be believed.
Kildare.
I do like a bit of Kilkenny now, I must say. I've been there for a few stags. Oh, that could be done.
Yeah, it's good laugh, that.
Keep the meetups going and keep coming into them. All the information is over on theirishmags.com in terms of meetups, upcoming, etc. Right, lads, before we wrap up, I have a quick quiz for you for the day and the week that's in it. Seeing as we're playing PSV in the Champions League, who are a Dutch side, I have a list of 11 football players of the Premier League era, 92-93 onwards, who are Dutch and have played for Newcastle United. So, lads, I'll jump between you. Krisho, we'll start with you because obviously we will give you a chance. Give me a Dutch player that has played for Newcastle United.
CM de Jong.
CM de Jong is correct from 2014 to 2016. Alan.
Luke de Jong.
Luke de Jong is correct.
I was purposely not going to say them too. Once you get one, you get the other.
A short-lived spell from January 2014 to June 2014. Krisho.
Yeah, this curly-haired guy, I liked him when he played for us. I thought he did a good job. Daryl Janmaat.
Daryl Janmaat is correct. Signed from, I think it was Feyenoord in 2014 and left in 2016 for Watford.
I don't know too more.
Wijnaldum.
Gini Wijnaldum is correct. Signed from PSV in 2015 and left in 2016 for Liverpool.
Boo. I was very excited when this happened. Very, very, very excited. And I think he did all right. Yeah, I think we should have bought his son, but let's leave it there. Patrick Kluivert.
Patrick Kluivert is correct. 2004.
Big fat Pat.
Signed from Barcelona and left for Valencia. Spent a year at Newcastle. 13 goals.
The one current Dutch player we have, Sven Botman.
Sven Botman. Yes, it is correct. Signed from Lille, of course, in July 2022. 3-3, lads. Krisho.
A goalkeeper who gets brought on to save penalties. Tim Krul.
Timothy Krul is correct. 185 appearances between 2008 and 2016. Bit of a legend is Tim Krul.
And that is me officially done.
Patrick Van Aanholt.
Patrick Van Aanholt is correct.
On loan from Chelsea. Yeah.
7 appearances.
Holy
Not
crap.
that many. Also played for the Mackhams, I believe. So the less said about that, the better.
The next one's... have we only got one more?
So you've got 8 out of 11. The score is 4-4.
11.
I have one more, I think. Oh, yeah.
Krisho, you got to enter first. Do you know, I'll open it up.
I don't. I really don't. No.
Right,
Jethro Willems.
Jethro Willems is correct. 2019.
Oh, yeah. God.
The summer of 2019 he signed and left again in the summer of 2020.
He scored that great goal against Liverpool, didn't he? Didn't he score that goal? Was that against Liverpool?
Was it Man United, no?
Or was it Man United?
No, Liverpool at Anfield. He put us 1-0 up and we lost.
Oh, it was delicious. That was a great goal.
Jethro. Right, there's 2 more players, lads. One of whom, don't even know if he actually made an appearance for Newcastle, but you'd know the name. And the second was a backup goalkeeper. A very backup goalkeeper.
Oh, is the backup? No, it's not. It's not Hooper. Is it Groningen or something? The keeper's name? Something stupid.
No,
like
Groningen is a team.
It's a team. Right, fair enough.
So this is a Dutch keeper who was at Newcastle from August 1999 to July 2003.
No.
Very little else I can give you, lads. Only that his name was John Carelse. John Carelse.
Carles, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the last chap on the list just because he has an entertaining name, is Brian Penas.
Brian Penas. Glass.
What a way to finish.
He didn't play for us, did he? He didn't actually play.
He don't know. He never made an appearance. No. He signed from the Feyenoord under-19s, I think, in '97, but he was gone a year later. But what a name.
Big Nick energy.
No big Nick energy there. We might have to do a podcast on just funny named players for Newcastle United at some point to see what we can dig up from the archives. But on that brings episode 110 of the Irish Mag Show to a close. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, following all of our socials down below. Check out theirishmags.com as well. Big thank you to everyone who has listened and watched and tuned in for this week's episode. And, of course, to the immovable objects that are Alan and Krisho this week. We'll be back for more Irish Madness next week post the Aston Villa game. Who knows what mental state, physical state, traumatized state, happy state, hopefully, that we might be in. Only time will
Hang
tell.
on, Paul. Alan, have you ever gone to a game where we lost at St. James Park?
Yes.
Damn it. You were like, right, lucky charm. Damn it.
I'll give you a better one. I seen my first loss with Emma. I seen my second loss with Emma. I seen my third loss with Emma. I'm going to the match with Emma.
Oh, man.
Well, thanks, Emma. You've ruined everything.
Thanks, Emma. Oh, man. That's so sad.
Oh, man. Well, look, maybe this will be the time that duck will break.
Yeah.
And she can go on a winning run the way we like to see Newcastle and Eddie Howe do it. So we'll be back for more Irish Magnus next week. Until then, how are you, the lads? Slán go fóill. Good luck, Emma. And we'll see you all very soon.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, lads.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck.